The federal government has set up a steering committee to consider the various demands presented by the organized labor following the removal of fuel subsidy. This was disclosed on Monday following the resumption of the meeting between the labor unions and the government at the State House in Abuja. Monday's meeting was the fourth in a series of negotiations between the government and organized labor since the discontinuance of petrol subsidy, as announced by President Bola Tinubu on May 29, 2023. At the last meeting on June 5, 2023, the federal government and the two labor unions had agreed to continue talks and secure closure on the resolutions. Arise analyst Dayo Sobowale is joining us now to assess the progress made so far in the negotiations between Labour and the federal government over fuel subsidy removal and discuss how best to cushion the effects of the policy on all types of Nigerians. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Sobowale. We'd love to have you here. Now, I mean, the last time, we've been on this for a while since the announcement was made, and the last time we spoke about, Dele Alake, the spokesman on behalf of the federal government, came out to say that the government is taking this matter seriously and intends to establish a committee consisting of representatives from the federal government, state authorities, organized labor, and the private sector, and that the demands were not necessarily impractical, but their foremost priority was going to be the issue of minimum wage, which they argued, of course, is the consequential impact of fuel subsidy. Now we're here. Let's assess the progress that has been made so far.
I'm happy with the progress made so far, even though the suffering of the masses have not been assuaged in any way. Let's get that clear. But the fact that we are talking peacefully, without protest, shows that our democracy is advancing under the rule of law. I had always thought, that if any government dare to remove fuel subsidy, there will be anarchy. There will be anarchy. But see, 2 weeks now, TUC, NLC, federal government, although they are in court, the judicial court has ruled that pending the outcome of the case before it on this issue, there should be no strikes. They went back to court, and the court said that subsists, that order still subsists. But the important thing is that the government has been able, this new government has been able to get the trust of labor and the patience so far of the Nigerian public. I hope you get the difference I'm trying to make. This is pragmatism now, under the rule of law. If you look at the history of withdrawal of subsidies, the raising of fuel prices, it has always been violent. But now, we have had a 2-week break, and now even Labour has agreed that in 8 weeks' time, they must put everything now. So the ball is in the court of both Labour and government, and they are talking to each other. That is something I thought was possible in Nigeria, and I'm happy about it. But you see, it is because somehow, this new president has been able to buy the trust of Nigerians. I hope he doesn't waste it, and I pray he doesn't waste it. But the Labour people have said that they have set up committees, government 5-4. But the Labour people, as usual, have been skeptical, even though they are at the negotiating table. That implementation has always been the problem. You get me? That they have met with government before, they have made recommendations on palliatives and all that, but it is the implementation that they will meet, adopt, get a resolution for implementation, and that it should not happen this time around. So, let's give government the benefit of the doubt. One thing that is not on the table that I want to discuss is the National Electricity Act, which has given legislative autonomy to the states, you get me, in the generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity. Because electricity is crucial to all these things we are saying. No?
Yes.
If electricity is there will be power for industries, there will be power for the hospitals, there will be power for so many things, and that will eventually bring down costs. Even though, I saw a notice by the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Authority asking stakeholders to come for a meeting in July. But I can bet the state governments will go ahead and do what they have to do to bring power.
Yes.
For example, in Niger State now, they say students should not pay bus fares. That is a step in the right direction.
Now, Mr. Sobowale, I'm glad that you brought up the electricity situation.
Yes.
When it comes to tariff, we understand that this might go up from next month. And then when you pair that with the fact that these negotiations between the Labour and federal government is scheduled to go on for about 8 weeks, that's 2 more months.
Wait, that's speculative.
I'm just saying that if things go on, as scheduled, we're looking at a potential, 2 months for them to, Labour and the federal government, to conclude what the next step will be. But in between now and then, are you concerned about how Nigerians are going to cope with all these challenges unfolding seemingly on every side?
Look, I am terrified. Many Nigerians are terrified at the high cost of living.
Yes.
That's why I am saying that this government has bought goodwill, which you should not waste away. And even Labour has bought in 8 weeks. It's very long. But Labour too will be under pressure from the rank and file of the workers. But you can bet, since government now has been decentralized, and you have a economic summit made up of governors, which, of course, this month is must render a report on the palliatives and how far they have gone. The palliatives include, maybe they will give credit to some people, maybe they reduce some fares, maybe like the bus, people not paying for bus. Yes, those are small reliefs, but they matter. Because what matters to people is food, transportation, health. You get me? So the states are on that. The governments are involved. If there is power, if the industries, you think the governments will wait for, once they have decentralized legislation, I'm sure that's the first thing most state assemblies will do, to put in place something to generate power for their people. They've always wanted it, but because you have a unitary system, which we call a federation, everybody goes to the center. But that one, power has been devolved now and distributed. Power in terms of political power in terms of energy has been decentralized. So let's be hopeful. And 2 weeks, 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
It's a long
time.
If me as a unionist, I will never have agreed to that. But that's why I admire our unionists for the first time ever, because everybody thought there would be anarchy. But why not? This is the rule of law is prevailing now. So let's give our environment a chance. Not even the government. Let's give, because once we destroy this, the terror of this fuel subsidy, we will make it. Once we have power, we are able to generate electricity. We are able to improve our exports in terms of our currency. Getting into the right value, and we are able to import what we want and export, and then foreign currency. We will be up and doing. This is the albatross that is on our neck, that is painful to dislodge, but by the grace of God, I think we will dislodge it. Yes.
I think it's,
and travel lighter.
Travel lighter and dislodge that weight that has been bringing us down.
Albatross.
But we've spoken about palliatives, and you've said that 8 weeks might be too long.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at the focus being an increase in minimum wage, and the fact that it's that particular motion was put forward in 2019, and now in 2023 we're still not seeing that. And also the federal government, the TUC and the NLC were also set to review the World Bank financed cash transfer scheme and propose the inclusion of that in for low income earners in the program. It almost seems as if we're not really hearing much about that.
But there are formed committees in that regard now. That's what the TUC and NLC people are saying. That they hope this time implementation will be done. That they have always formed committees, made submissions for adoption. Get me? But at the day they are not implemented. I think that's almost the same thing with ASU. It's not as if they have not met, they do not know what to do, but the implementation. But I'm sure now, this government will not take the patience and suffering of Nigerians for granted.
I hope so too.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Arise analyst Mr. Dayo Sobowale. It's always a pleasure to have you.